che comunque il calcio è imprevedibile e le cose non sono mai scontate, quindi è anche la bellezza, no, di questo sport.
Io rappresentavo per questa squadra, era quello che non mollava mai, quello che doveva fare stare sempre su il morale, ma io mi ci trovavo bene perché sono sempre stato uno che mi piaceva dare fuoco ai miei compagni, caricarli prima delle partite.
Il mio sogno si è avverato, è uno dei sogni dei bambini, di tanti bambini.
È un qualcosa per la gente che riusciamo a fare diventare matti, riusciamo a fare diventare felici e contenti.
Con questa maglia devo veramente fare una performance diversa perché sto rappresentando uno dei club più grandi al mondo.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's been a while. That's all I can say. It's been a while, fellow Milanisti, and good to be back. And we're back quite bang because with me, Labgorilla. How are you doing, Mr. Lab?
I'm all right, Husni. So a lot has happened since we last did a pod, so it's worthwhile. We've got quite a few things to talk about, but I guess one of the things, I've been in Italy. It was great. The Tuscany treated me very, very well. But yeah, actually, managers have been fired since I was there. Pioli, as we said, was not going to last, and sure enough, he did not last. Fiorentina's situation in the league table is dreadful. But we've got quite a lot to cover because Milan appears to be... Oh, goodness. Milan appears to be winning against what appears to be the tougher teams and then drawing and losing points against the smaller teams. Oh, look, Nathan's already on there. Oh, so are we in a good time for the US? Is that what it means?
I guess so. Maybe Nathan, I think you're on the west. No, he's in Texas, I think.
Okay.
Let us
If
know,
Nathan, you
whether-
could tell us what time it is where you are, mate. Yeah.
I think maybe the time difference is about 12 hours, so maybe it's in the morning for him. Most probably it should be in the
Yeah.
morning for him. But welcome, Nathan. It's been a while, I think.
So I went to a place in Tuscany called Lucca. They have a team called Lucchese. Believe it or not, they wear red and black stripes, and they are known as the Rossoneri. Can you believe that, Husni? They're actually known. It's 8 a.m. in Texas, Nathan says. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, dude. So Lucchese are known as the Rossoneri. They used to be in Serie C. I think they got relegated last May because they went bankrupt. They've just been bought out by a new owner who has got some interesting links to some quite powerful people. I can't really say any more than that. So there is a discussion. But I was in their stadium. I was parked just outside one of their gates because Lucca which is a really famous walled city in Tuscany. And I recommend anyone who wants a Tuscan holiday to go and visit Lucca. It's maybe not as well known as Pisa or Florence, but Lucca has got these part of it used to be Roman walls around it that are so thick and so wide that they actually have a road on the top of the wall that you can walk around. It's like 4 or 5 kilometers around the entire city, and you've got amazing views, and it's a beautiful place with great food. So really recommend it. Nice little Italian break. I also, of course, had to go to Pisa. Now, what's interesting, Hasni, Pisa.
Is that why we lost? Why you didn't win?
Well,
what do you do?
Well, Pisa are red. Sorry, they're black and blue stripes. So that they are the Nerazzurri, right? This is hilarious. I didn't know. So local derby is Lucca Pisa, and they would be red and black versus red and blue. But Pisa gave Milan a good bloody nose, didn't they? Now, if I remember correctly, that ended in a draw, didn't it, Husni?
Yep, 2-2.
Yeah, great, wonderful. So that was quite something. And then Fiorentina. So Fiorentina game, we finished, I think Moise Kean scored the first goal, and then Milan scored 2 goals in response. Fiorentina right now are flat.
Oh, sorry, John, you're okay.
5 points. They're playing at the moment against Genoa.
I think yeah, we somewhat predicted that. Well, for me on my side, I guess I was wrong. I did predict that Fiorentina would have the bounce back against this. Didn't work out. It was the Rafael Leao show because if I remember correctly, he scored both goals. But yeah, you're right. And Pioli, he is definitely a manager to remember, if you can say that. Yeah, he has that sort of last season, or he leaves in a way that you probably remember him forever. Fiorentina have
Well,
not been that bad for, well, not
a
at
long
least that I
time.
can remember. Even in like 7, 8 years ago, Fiorentina was still a team
Yeah,
that you should worry about. But
yeah,
wow, this Fiorentina or Pioli's Fiorentina, it's
yeah.
generally surprised. That's all I can say.
I think being in Tuscany. So just to make it clear, Florence is in Tuscany. So Pisa, Florence, Lucca, they're all in Tuscany. So this is another team from that region, and it was really on the news. You should have seen it, Husni. The Fiorentina fans, they were calling for his head, basically, uh, saying we can't keep him because if he stays, then this club is going to get relegated, and we can't be relegated. And I mean, if you think about it, right now they're playing away to Genoa. It's 0-0. I guess the game has just kicked off. Genoa are in 18th place, Fiorentina 20th place, bottom. And even if Fiorentina wins, they still don't get out of the um, they don't get out of the relegation zone. That's how bad it is. Um, they really had to do something about it. And I think they got a temporary coach. What is it that they who is it that they're calling in? Is it Spalletti? Can you remember who it is that Fiorentina got?
Um, Let me check that.
But they had to go not Spalletti. What am I talking about? Maybe it is Spalletti.
Let
Who?
me check that quickly.
Vanoli first was as
Paolo
Fiorentina coach a
Vanoli.
day ago. Paolo Vanoli. We must
Yeah,
reset everything and take it one step at a time. That's what he said. So feel really
yeah, but
bad for them
I
because they're
I wouldn't bet against Fiorentina being rated because they still have a squad, and we've said this before that the players they have on paper more than capable of staying in the league.
yeah. I mean they haven't done a great transfer window, but they're too good to be down there, and they just need someone with a little bit of common sense and a little bit more balance than Pioli to get this team out of there. The players are just stopped playing for Pioli. It's as simple as that. I mean, right now there's quite a tough game. Napoli's playing with Bologna. That's quite a tough game because Bologna are in fifth place, playing decent football. Um,
But you
Decent
have to
goal
be a little bit
difference.
surprised that Pioli himself is not a terrible coach by any means. I mean, what you saw in Milan, Pioli did in Fiorentina. But I would never
Yeah,
have expected that would have led to that many losses under Pioli. He could have kept them maybe bottom half of the table, but safe from relegation. At least safe from relegation. I thought that would have been at least Pioli effect because you can't be like Scudetto winner like a few seasons ago to like relegation mode. But then again, it's Pioli. But I
yeah,
just didn't
yeah,
expect it on any level that it would have been that bad.
yeah. I mean, the other thing as well, Nathan makes a point. He wants Fiorentina to stay trash so that we can pick up Keane for cheap. Yeah,
Yeah,
as long as it's cheap, we'll pick him up. I'm pretty sure.
in response to that, Nathan, I don't think it's just Keane. If Mike is leaving, which I think he definitely will, because this renewal, in my opinion, is not happening. I do
Oh,
think De Gea is a good Moneyball sort of signing because the man still has skills, by the way. And okay, he's not in the prime of his career, but a 30 plus year old keeper, we've had 30 plus year old keepers before. So, and this still can do a job, no doubt about it.
yeah. So Hasni, the main topic. What do you think is behind Hasni? This fact that I think, in Italy when Milan played against Roma and won 1-0. Dybala missed a penalty, got himself injured. Trying to remember. Yeah. So, what do you guys think about the fact that we seem to be, obviously we've beaten Napoli, we've beaten Roma, we've got Inter coming up, by the way. But
Yeah, after the break, yeah.
against these so-called smaller teams, we're struggling. What do you think is behind what's going on with the team? Because I thought the whole point was we now have okay, we had a few injuries, we're getting over them, but I thought the whole point was that we had a new powerhouse midfield. But there's clearly still problems. So what have you got to say? Because there are quite a few players that have started to show up, and I've been monitoring a few pods and seeing that people are talking about highly, very highly about several individuals. But I won't name them until I hear what you think about what's going on.
Yeah, I had a good long time to think about it. Ever since the Atlanta game, I did think about the trajectory of where we're going and why it's been like this. So you would expect that coming off quite a strong start to the season. Okay, let's put Cremonese aside. But after that, we had quite a strong start to the season. And before we went live, I spoke to Labgorilla about my thoughts and what it's like for fans. And this is why I've come to that Milanisti, we as fans, we are way too hopeful. These performances where we won several games, kept a lot of clean sheets, good defensive record, has given us maybe this false hope that we could actually be Scudetto contenders. But if you've seen our form in the past 4 or 5 games, and I don't want to talk about the injuries because every team has some form of injuries, but we seem to be still in that same group, so we've not pulled away. The teams that we should have won, and I'm not saying that any team is absolutely easy, that you can just steamroll them 10-0 scoreline, but these teams are way more problematic. So the fact that we can actually pull it off against the bigger teams like Roma, Napoli, as you said, John, but we seem to really drop points against these smaller teams. And Allegri said it yesterday that we've only got 2 points from these newly promoted teams. Really speaks volumes. And judging by how the games have also played out, because we don't have a problem scoring goals. Look at the scoreline, look at the goal scores. We do not have an issue scoring goals. Defensively, it's been on the other side. Yeah, when we needed to keep the clean sheets, we haven't. And that has led to is that we're still within that pack. And for us to be a great team, and keep in mind that other teams around us, they have other commitments. They have European fixtures. They're playing other teams. They need to do squad rotations. They have other pressures. We don't. We're just concentrating on the league. So that's been quite disappointing. And but I'm also seeing from the perspective, and I've been reading some of the comments online that the win against Roma, that had it been a draw, you could say that okay, Roma's doing well this season, so it would have been fair. But then to draw against Pisa, a bit inexplainable there, especially considering that we could have lost that game, yeah, because I think it was injury time equalizer by
That's
Atekeme.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then for the game yesterday, we could have won that, but then we seem to have dropped our heads. And I think Allegri in his post-match interview was alluding the same. So my thoughts about it is that, just to sum it up, reality check, we are not a Scudetto winning team. As much as we would like to believe so,
Wow.
we just not. We are a top 4
Okay.
team. It's designed to be top 4 team. We've spent like a top 4 team. We don't buy any ready-made players, and I'm pointing to Jimenez about this. We're trying to go money ball all the time, and this is the outcome.
Oh wow, Genoa's winning. Who just said Genoa is winning against Fiorentina? Are you serious, Nathan? Oh no, for Fiorentina, it just gets worse. So okay, Husni, listen, I think you fair enough in your opinion. I'll say a few things, right? Okay.
Yeah.
From the outside looking in, I think this season is a massive season of opportunity. I mentioned it before in a previous podcast that Uncle Sharma had said the cheat code for winning Serie A is to be out of all European competition. That is like a golden key to the gate to the Serie A title. And at the beginning of the season, first few games, it really did look like that, didn't it, Hasni? It looked like, oh yeah, these guys have got commitments. They're getting absolutely destroyed. And hello, Nico. How you doing, mate? Buon dia. Yes, buon dia, buongiorno. And these teams are, because they got other commitments, they can't cope. Napoli's a really good example, Husni, of a team that in the Champions League are struggling so much. Conte and his fabled inability to make it in the Champions League is incredible. I've been watching their results, and they just don't seem to be able to collect wins. If they get through, it will be through a playoff position for sure, and they will struggle to do that too. Now, saying all of that, I think several teams in Serie A have made unserious coaching hires, and I'm going to name those coaching hires. Fiorentina is obviously one of them, and I think we highlighted that right at the beginning, saying we don't think that's going to be, or that is ever going to be a good match to go with Fiorentina, purely in Fiorentina, and it did not turn out to be. I think Juventus and Tudor was not a serious hire either. By the way, Tudor got fired, right? Did he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
There you go. So that's another one. I think Atalanta have the spine of a very strong team, but Juric as a coach was not a serious hire. And today they lost at home 3-0 to Sassuolo. I watched that game. It was anemic as a performance. I think Juric is going to be sacked within the next week or so because they are now lying in 13th place. A club like that, with the players that they have, now that's another club. If you want to pick off players, amazing, absolutely amazing players that you can pick up from that squad. And I of course mean the goalkeeper too, but I also mean strikers, defenders. They've got players in Ederson in midfield. They've got so many good players. So these clubs started the season with unserious hires on the coaching side. And by the way, I think Inter are the most overpowered squad probably in the league alongside Napoli, but they will have serious commitments coming up. I think they have Atletico Madrid and us that are going to be coming up. And I think for them, that's going to be a pretty hard push to be able to cope with both. So the opportunity for Milan to win Serie A exists. It's an open door. And I think I stand by my comment that if Milan do not make top four this season, it will be Allegri's worst ever performance because the opportunity is enormous. Poor managerial hires from a lot of these top clubs. No alternative competition for us. And, these injuries are not going to be, we should not have been suffering in the way we have with those players injured. So let's talk a little bit about the Pisa game. Let's talk a little bit about the Atalanta game. Atalanta, Husni, are not, I remember when you were talking about these low clubs, you didn't include Atalanta. Today, Atalanta with Juric is a poor club. It is a low club. Yeah. These are not, they are not a serious club anymore. Nathan agrees with me. Look, he says Juric is a joke. There's a reason he's never been successful. They don't play at all. And he started the season with this attitude of, I'm going to teach Lookman a lesson because he wanted to move away, and I'm going to leave him on the bench. And instead, they were
He got taught
starting
lesson in return. Yeah.
he got to a lesson in return, but instead they were playing the player that they picked up, Kurzic or whatever his name is, from Lecce. Just really poor decision making, and of course they were not scoring goals. And I think they scraped a 1-0 win away to Marseille. I did see that game, by the way. I think Marseille have a big argument for a very dodgy goal. I mean, the goal was a screamer that was scored by Atalanta. It was an absolute screamer, but the move led to it was definitely, I think, a penalty that should have gone to Marseille. Just again, my opinion only. Very strange decision there, but so yeah, I'll say Milan have an open door to the Serie A title. But if they don't make top four at the very minimum, this will be Allegri's worst ever achievement in his career. And honestly, that's what I will see it as. And for those people that seem to say that Pavlovic is a wonderful player. So I was in Italy and I was seeing these comments from English pods. People saying that Pavlovic is now coming to his own. You can see he's running forward. He is assisting. He's scoring. He is a Baresi of the modern day. This is insane.
Are
I
you
think
serious? Someone says Baresi.
I have seen people hype him up on English channels, saying that he's a wonderful player. He's not a wonderful player. He never will be a wonderful player. He's he's an interesting defender. I'll give you that. He's a centre back that actually marauds forward and causes chaos to the opposition. But we did see with some of these clubs that are a little bit more humble and just get down and get to work hard, that you can get to this Milan team. You can outwork this Milan team and you can get to them and unlock and demonstrate that problem that they have in that defense. What Parma did yesterday was very interesting. Milan went 2-0 up, as we all know. It looked relatively comfortable. Salamaker was having the half of his life. He was really, once again, causing havoc. And out of the blue, Parma score an absolute screamer, an absolute screamer. But the question has to be Estupinian. People were calling him out, saying, "Look, this guy's come back, and he is not warranting why people are saying that he's the answer on the left side. He's not the answer on the left side at all. He never has been." Um, but then, the way the second half began and Milan were just switched off. What did you think about that?
Yeah, you're right. And as many have pointed out, if we talk about the two goals that we conceded, Estupinian to blame. Though I thought the first goal, I thought that was a foul. I don't know why people are not commenting as such. It seemed like a bit of a shove at the back because it pushed him off the ball, right? Okay, it's happened in the past, not getting called back.
Mm.
But I don't know what is the rationale for putting him back because he's been out for quite a while. Why? What Allegri thought makes him the default left midfielder of the team? Because Bartesaghi, yeah, I know Bartesaghi also had a terrible game the game before. I saw it. Yeah, I saw it, even though he had a part to play in that goal with Pavlovic. But beyond that, it's we have to be real and call it for what it is. It's Parma, guys. These are the teams that 2-0 is pretty much enough to blow them away, by the way. They shouldn't have anything left. But a team like that, and kudos to them, is that they're fighting for their lives. They got nothing else to lose, right? I mean, what's the worst that could happen? End up back in Serie B and try to fight their way back up. So they have something to prove, really, to show that they're not really a one season kind of hit and back down the next, because that's what happens to a lot of newly promoted teams. But what I am seeing is that, and you've mentioned it rightly, is that teams are really taking note and knowing how to exploit some of the key weaknesses within the team. So we spoke about Estupinian. So that happened. Fofana, if you can remember
Oh, yes.
not just the game against Roma, but several games. These are the sort of players that, if you're an opposing coach, is that you don't have to play against Milan's strengths. You're not going to find a defender that's going to keep up with Leao, but you can pick off these players that are more often than not absolutely terrible and closer to playing for the opposition rather than playing for us, for our colors. So that's happened at quite a few times this season, especially recently, the past few games. What can you do? We don't have the reinforcements. The management definitely not willing to spend. We're only playing. We don't have the schedule of the other teams around us. So
No.
what worries me going into next season, even if we make top four, by the way, and we have Champions League commitment, can you imagine what it will be like? Try to apply the
No.
extra congestion with
Yeah.
this current team, because
Yeah.
the
No.
management are not going to spend and bring in like all sorts of reinforcements just because we made top four. It's going to be
Husni.
hell. We might be like
Absolutely.
top four, ninth place. Top four, ninth place. This might be the sort of
Absolutely.
positioning that this club is all about, and that
Yeah.
absolutely sucks on every level.
So I got to say, let's read this message because this is actually in line with Nicholas Stenquist. I'm going to guess from that name. Can I just guess? That's a Swedish name. That's pretty cool surname, though. It says, under Redbird, Milan always have to build a new squad every season. Meanwhile, Redbird sell their best players. Tonali, Reindeers, Theo, Chow. We have so many gaps in our squad. He's absolutely correct. I don't think anybody disagrees with this. Allegri and Modric can't save this team on their own, which is right. We have one striker in the squad who hasn't scored yet. Absolutely. Redbird spent a fortune on Nkunku. Also hasn't scored in Serie A. He has scored in the Coppa d'Italia. This is why Redbird will never bring Milan to a top four. Sorry. Now, Sweden, he's right. Yeah, there you go. That's what. Good guess. Good guess. So we agree. We absolutely agree on that, Nicholas. I think, and to your point, Husni, this team is not assembled for any long term. This team is assembled for this season with the opportunities that came up in the last transfer window. Modric has decided, I'm leaving Real Madrid. I want a little bit of an easier schedule because the World Cup is coming up. Oh, look, there's Milan, a team I've always liked, and I want to spend time with them. And he's giving us his services. In truth, he is what he is. He's 40 years old. And even 1 week, one game a week, you can actually already start to see that he can be overwhelmed because at the end of the day, time waits for no man, even one of the greatest players of our generation, right? Time waits for no one. So when he's fresh and ready and able, this guy can do incredible things and he can pick out lethal passes. He can take free kicks, corners, everything. He can do it. But is he a long-term future that the team will be, if the team was to get into the Champions League top four next season, would this squad cope? Of course it wouldn't cope. And one of the things I'll say to you, and I implore all of you to do, look at the lineup that Milan had against Pisa versus the Pisa. And in particular, pay attention to the bench. You will see that Milan only had about 6 or 7 players that they could have called upon. Remember, you've got 5 subs. Pisa had 15, right? So those of you who make excuses for this ownership will say, well, that is because Allegri agreed to a smaller squad because we've only got one campaign and we just got very unlucky with all the injuries. The answer is no. Everybody knows that any campaign, when you're serious, you need far more, you need far more strength around the first 11, and it just isn't there. So anytime there's any damage done, this squad is going to be in trouble. Now, anyone drops form, this squad is going to be in trouble as well. It's not just down to injuries, it's also down to form. And Milan under Redbird is not building for the future. It is building for today. It wants to make at all costs a top four. Whilst I was in, I should tell you, whilst I was in Italy, I met with 4 architects. One of them is an architect that specializes in building stadia. And I won't say it, but they are involved in building a stadium for one other Serie A club. So I asked them, they're in competition with Manica, which is one of the major stadium builders in Italy. Apparently, they're working with Foster's to build the San Siro. 2 things to say. Milan have got through. They have, with Inter, they have acquired and made the first payment for the acquisition of the San Siro and the surrounding land. That acquisition, according to the Italian newspapers, and I was there, was done through a loan from a bank. So yet another loan was brought in for 90 million euros for the first payment. So Inter and Milan went out, got that, paid it off, and then now they've got more debt. All right? But at least they can say that that is them. Now, the rumors in Italy are that someone within the council at Milan has helped, let's say, grease the wheels to prevent that move from being blocked, because there were a lot of complaints about it, about the speed in which Milan and Inter were able to be the only ones to claim that land. Now, I didn't know this, but there was apparently a third party that wanted to buy the San Siro, but they needed more time to put together a consortium to save the San Siro so that it could have been used as a stadium for events, not for football, but for events, which would have forced Inter and Milan to go to San Donato and build there instead. As it is, something happened. The deadline was very quick, and these guys, Inter and Milan, were the only ones allowed to buy it at that price, which a lot of arguments in Italy is that price is too low. So that's, rumors from the inside, from the country itself. I will say to you, they sold TG Reindeer for what, 55 million for a maximum of 70 million with all the ads on. And despite all of that, Milan only registered a 3 million euro profit. And people went and celebrated because Milan have had multiple years in profit under Redbird, saying that management is fantastic. Nicholas' point. The team will be disassembled every single season. If a player stands out and looks amazing and has got a huge high value, that player will be sold because the books have to look positive. I am not going to go down, and I don't know, Husni, if you want to talk about it, the interview with Cardinale, because as far as I'm concerned, they were all lies, saying that he wants to stay, saying he's there for the long term. All of that are lies, just intended to make you look elsewhere, whilst not realizing that there is no project here for the long term at all. That's my opinion. What do you think on all of that, Husni?
Yeah, not surprising. I think we've also said it on the pod. It's like the only way to get the stadium project through is to really do some underhanded tactics. What really irks me, the fact that all this drama has been going on with regards to stadium, and we'll say it, and I'll say it again, even though we said it before in previous pods. Only Milan, AC Milan, is the team that has been day in, day out, every single season talking about the stadium. We even have Scaroni, call him like Stadium Scaroni. Inter focus only on sporting results. Make it to the Champions League final, try to win Scudetto, which they've done successfully for and with the second star and all that. It's only us worrying about the stadium. So with all this stadium BS that's going on, and it looks like it's somewhat over the line now, what
Yes.
really irks me is that all Inter had to do is say that, okay, Scaroni and gang, you guys have sorted out. Okay, we just say yes. We are really the bitch when it comes to the stadium. It's humiliating on so many levels. We couldn't get the second star. We are doing so badly if you compare to where we should be as a club of our status and prestige. We're just basically the money side. We're like Inter secretary at this point, and that I really hate that fact. So had it been a sabotage and be forced to go to Zonato and build our own stadium, I would have been much happier with that outcome. But what can I say? And this is why Jerry Redburn, all this, they're looking at the stadium project as real estate project. They're just absolute clowns, by the way. This particular ownership, and the only reason why Jerry and Redbird has to stay in the game is because he might get an Argentinian warship dropped on his head by
Yes.
Elliot and group. This is his only worry, okay? Other than that, this man has absolutely nothing. Had we been in 8th place, we would have been relegated. Sell whoever, we can make a profit. Don't care. Stadium goes on. This is the sort of club that we are, and it's unfortunate considering our colors and our history. But yeah, I don't want to go on another rant about this. We've spoken about it at length in the past. But
Oh my God.
speechless, yeah,
So
speechless, yeah.
it is speechless. So Max has joined us. He says, "Buongiorno. What is this? AC shit the bed versus relegation teams Redbridge or Redbird." Okay.
But I
Yes.
do want to add on something, John, when you pointed out about
Yeah.
the subs. You're right. They have way more subs, but these are entire Serie B subs.
Yeah. Yeah.
That we can't seem to overcome up until the 90th minute. So yeah, I mean, we you just have to really keep it in mind that all these games that we drew, we could have lost. Even the game yesterday, hit the crossbar.
Yeah.
Mike had to make some saves. We had one-on-ones with the keeper that we can't put away. Is this a
That's right.
team engineered to win the Scudetto? Definitely not. Definitely not.
I mean, so I looked at Parma, right? So just listen to this stat. Parma on home form, they have a -2 goal difference and 6 points out of 6 games at home. On away forms, Parma are the worst team in Serie A. They've got a -5 goal difference and only two points. On home form, they are 15th out of 20 teams. That is not a team that Milan should be struggling against. Not even a team where Milan should be getting caught back up after being 2-0 up against, right? Allegri correctly said after the game, we were chickens. He's absolutely right.
Yeah, no
You
doubt. Rafa Leao
and
cost more than the entire Parma team, I think.
probably, but the thing is, the subs came on. When Pulisic came on, everything went faster all of a sudden, looked a lot better. Ruben Loftus-Cheek came on as well. I think, that those players coming back are obviously going to make a difference. They're going to improve things and help things, but still, you shouldn't be losing to Parma if you're seriously trying to make an argument here. I don't know. I still, in my heart of hearts, I think because of the commitments of all the others, trust me, man, Napoli are going to have to fight tooth and nail to get through the league phase in the Champions League. They're going to have to take extra fixtures to get through. Inter have won every single one of their games in the Champions League, but they know very well that their first 4 games were against very low level opposition, and now they're going to start to get much tougher teams. And so they were just building up. Atleticos are coming up. I think they got Dortmund coming up. So they are going to start to struggle too. This is an opportunity for Milan to pick up points, and if they were serious, they would have built a bit of a lead by now within the league. As I said, Atalanta, do not consider Atalanta the Atalanta of last year a serious club. They are not a serious club. I think the opportunity is enormous for Milan to win the league. I genuinely do. But it won't change a thing. Now, just listen to me. It will not change a thing. If Milan win Serie A next summer, you will not see like a transfer window that is intended to strengthen that, to build on that. That is not how we are.
It just means that more players get sold, maybe.
I think so. I honestly, I do think so. I do think so. And it doesn't matter if people renew their contracts. The only thing they're doing it for is to be sold for more money. Leao looked sluggish yesterday, and Kunku was a ghost again. Yes, he was. Looked soft. Allegri didn't make any tactical. He was very slow, Allegri, which is interesting that he took his time. So no, I felt the Pisa game was a fun watch. I thought the Parma game was a fun watch. I was a bit shocked when they came out of the changing rooms at half time. They really looked like they had smoked weed in the changing rooms because they look slow and lethargic. They
Yeah,
look like they were
it's
just going
not
to sit
that,
on it.
John. These players, they don't know what it's like to play until the final whistle. It seems to be that okay, you can wrap up the game in one half and then take a vacation, or you start thinking about what to do for the weekend. Uh, this is football. This is competitive sports. And I go back to what Gattuso said a while back, and this is pure gold. What Gattuso said, and everyone knows he's a fighter. You have to leave everything on the pitch. And I remember, I think the quote was like Gattuso said, "I want to see every player, each player, collapse at the final whistle. That proves that you've given everything that you had for the game." Look at
Yeah.
our player. Look at absolutely relaxed. It's like go home, have a chat, and I don't know, go out the next day. I don't know, it's a matter of discipline, not bothered. But well, we've also spoken about this. The attitude or the viewpoint from the top really trickles down. If you know that you're playing for a club that the objective is just top four, why bother? Why bother? Yeah. Are there any CEO winners? Okay, maybe Modric, but Modric is not captain, by the way. So I guess Modric can't be there to school everyone and saying that, okay, let's win the Champions League. These players, up to a certain level, they can play. After that, they get absolutely switched off.
So I wanted to know, Husni, what's your take on Pavlovic and his performance so far this season?
He's been, what he reminds me of is that for those who've played FIFA,
Baresi.
definitely not Baresi, I can tell you that. If you are a player in FIFA, or if you play FIFA and you're playing against a weak opposition, I've seen this happen a lot online. Yeah, So they'll pass to a defender, and that defender will try to dribble all the way to the opposition goal and try to score it. Someone is playing FIFA with this club, and that's going to kill us. I know he did the job against Roma, but guys, if we want to be a serious club, you cannot depend on these sort of performances. It's nice that he scored, yeah, because we won by a very slim margin, and we could have dropped points had Dybala scored the penalty. But these sort of moves are not what I would expect from a serious player or serious club or like a serious defense. It's absolute insane. If we want to really upgrade our defense, Pavlovic, he's got to go. I would trade Pavlovic for very serious and capable, ready to go defender. And then I'm going to point to another name while we're speaking about players like that. Our forwards, Jimenez, I have given up on
Oh
this guy.
yes, that's another one to
I
talk
have
about.
absolutely given up on this guy. We brought him in a January transfer window for a hell of money. Keep in mind that we don't spend that much money on any other position, but we had to spend it on a striker because we really need one. I know in the first few games he seemed to have it, yeah, so he was scoring for us. But when we need him, he's not contributing, not doing the job. I know he got us a few penalties. The penalty against Juve that Pulisic couldn't manage to put away. But it has to be more than that. Otherwise, what use is Jimenez? And for him to come out and say that he's been playing with an ankle injury, is this really the state of the team? You are injured or this guy has a problem, but you have no option but to play him. What makes you think that he's not going to get even worse injury and be out for like the rest of the season? Then what are we going to do? So top to bottom, if we talk about beyond the wins that we've had this season, and okay, let's point it out, we are still unbeaten for quite a while. We're not a Scudetto challenger as we should be if we're a serious club. But then again, this management doesn't want us to be a serious club.
Okay, so you brought a great point on Jimenez. I think this experiment has failed. He cost a lot of money. He was obviously a rescue buy last January from Feyenoord, if I'm correct, in order to try and get us through to the Champions League knockout phases, and that failed. His actual previous team knocked us out. So in Italy, it said, yeah, he has 2 months to save himself.
So
yeah,
we gave them 35 million and we helped them progress through
go
the
to the
Champions
next
League.
phase.
This is a
That's
great
right.
deal, by the way.
It's a
Feyenoord are
great deal for
geniuses.
Feyenoord. In the Italian press, it was reported Jimenez has 2 months to do something or get out. Basically, they think that Milan management are going to chuck him out. I kind of tend to agree with that. They will probably try to look for something else. There'll be a desperate move, I think, in January to try and find something else. Now on Pavlovic, it's been, I'm not shy to criticize players or everything when I feel they need it. I do think that he has overperformed, and his strange approach to the game has actually been beneficial because a lot of the games are very static and the teams are blocking each other with their formations, and all of a sudden there's this one rampaging animal that is sometimes down the wing, sometimes going past the center forward, and he's assisting and scoring and doing some great things. Pavlovic, and I'll reiterate this, Pavlovic needs he needs that Rabiot in front of him to try and block that gap that he leaves when he runs forward. Without Rabiot, it becomes hell on earth for whoever the left back is because they've now got to do twice the work. So it's very difficult. So
But
I
John,
think
on that
he's
point,
overperformed. Yeah.
I don't think Rabiot is overly a defensive-minded player. You think he's going to put up with that? I mean, each time you're going to have to cover a defender who's running across your lines and trying to score a goal. I mean, I think Rabiot also has the mindset that he also wants to score goals, and we've seen him taking chances before. So I think that leaves a bigger gap than what's intended. I mean, let's call it for what it is. Pavlovic, you're a defender. How about you defend? If you don't want to defend, ask Allegri to make you a midfielder. Fine, and that gives you a bit of a license to roam. But if you don't want to do your job, then don't expect others to do it for you. This is my opinion.
Yeah, I get you. I get you, but I think it's just okay. So I think for this part of the season, he has been more beneficial because of the players around him. They've helped him to be able to do what he actually seems to want to do, which is to go forward. This guy, I've said it before, he has no interest in being just a centre back that sits there. He won't do that, right? So he wants Rabiot back as soon as possible. Now, a couple of other players. I've mentioned Jimenez. I've mentioned him. Fofana. We have to talk about Fofana. I am more than disappointed about this player. I've heard people on again English pods say that this player Fofana is turning into a real classical, beautiful midfielder that is a real box to box player. I don't know what people have been watching to judge that. I know that I have been watching Milan play, whether I'm in Italy or whether I'm here in the UK, and Fofana appears to be the worst of every single question you ask of him. Central defensive midfielder, no, he doesn't break up play well enough. Going forward, he finds himself in decent positions a lot of the time, but he can't shoot to save his life. I mean, he has scored one because it was a miracle, and I think a rainbow appeared outside my window when he did that. But apart from that, the player really doesn't offer anything to this Milan squad. So remember in previous seasons, we've said, when Musa played, it's like starting with 10 men. Fofana is quickly taking that role. I think Allegri badly needs to see what happens when Modric is combined with maybe Ricci and Jashari, maybe, and having Rabiot in there as well in that mix. But Fofana needs to be dropped. He needs to be taken out of that. Now, Nicholas asks a question, which is, do you see Redbird trying to strengthen the team in January? Last January was chaos. I think we've all said it that last January was a panic one. I think nobody can hide that, right? Fired the coach, tried to bring in, we won the Italian Super Cup, which, by the way, I wasn't quite aware that we're in the Super Cup again.
Are we?
Great. Yeah, apparently we are.
How?
Don't ask me, but I think I saw it in the Italian newspapers, and I was like, "What? We're going to be in
What?
Saudi against?" Yeah, I
Are
think
you
so.
kidding me? I'm gonna check that.
I would
Maybe I
love
might go.
people in the chat to check that for us and come back, but
Yeah.
I think that's what I read.
I know they changed the rules for us that one time where it was like the runners-up of the Coppa Italia are back in the Super Coppa, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they can change the rules again to make it an eighth-place team.
I think it's
Part of
because
the
we
Super
are
Coppa.
Italian Cup finalists. Yeah.
Are we? Is that okay? Fine. If we are fine.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Coppa d'Italia finalist. Max confirms it. So there you go. Yeah, I told you. What did I say to you, Husni? They would find a way. They would find a way because Saudi want to see Milan. So there's always going to be a way. It's just force it.
Man, we're really testing the limits. I don't know what's next. Is it like the number of penalties that we have? I don't know what record I'm based on for next
Listen,
Super Coppa.
I'm just telling you what I know and what I've read in different reports. So if I was to say to you, this number of games in, 11 games in, who's your standout player for Milan? Name me 3. Try and do that for me, Husni. How would you rate them?
Well, the one that comes to mind, even though maybe the past few games hasn't been absolutely stellar, I'll still keep Modric there. Modric has been great.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, John, you're saying the past 3 games, is it?
No.
Or
Top 3 players this season over the last 11 games.
Oh, okay. Modric, Pulisic.
Okay.
Then the third one. Third one's tough because I have 3 players that's floating around my mind. One would be Salmakers, the other one would be
Yes.
Liao since he came back, and Mike I think is also a contender because I wouldn't pin the goals on the goals we consider on Mike, but I don't know. Maybe it's a bit too forgiving just because he saved the Dybala penalty that we have the 3 points. But maybe Mike a distant contender. But it's either between Liao or Salmakers for the third position. How about you?
I agree 100%. I'd say my number one ranked player would be Pulisic. My number two player would be Modric, and I would definitely go Salamaker for the third. I think Salamaker as what a player! What a player to have on that wing. Really enjoy it. Pulisic, killer. Okay, yesterday he didn't, but he just came back. Come on. So the way the game changed once he came on was quite something. And Modric, just a beautiful player that I really do think needs a little bit more of a rest, guys. He can't actually. I think early start of the season, people thought one game a week, he can play every single game. I don't think so. He looks tired. He looks tired. He needs to be rested sometimes. And I think maybe Ricci will take that position and then Jashari will come alongside him. I did notice, I think he was on the bench, right, Jashari, after his broken leg. So he
Yeah.
might soon start to be introduced because we paid a hell of a lot of money for him.
Yeah, I hope for Jashari during the international break that he will be, fully integrated with the team. But you can expect during this break, I think Modric should probably have some game time. Don't know what's going to happen. Let's hope he doesn't get injured. Pulisic, I think he's been asked to stay back. I hope that works out. And but Ricci, I think he got called up for the national team. I think.
It's good on him.
Yeah,
It's
so
not
that's
like
good.
Italy doesn't really care. It's really finished second in the group already. They need a miracle of Norway dropping points, which they won't. And then Italy are in a playoff, and that will be really tough. Nathan loves Nathan, man. You are so consistent, sir. You love Gabbia. if I think Nathan could have Gabbia in the Italy national squad to start, he would. I
No,
think
but he's
he's
been called up
in.
as well, Gabbia.
Yeah, but he doesn't start. He doesn't. He
Yeah.
doesn't get game time. Which I think, to be honest, I think he probably does deserve a bit of game time. What's Italy got to lose anyway? It's not the defense that's the issue. So yeah, Modric and Salamanca need to rest. Salamanca needs a quality backup too. Now, yeah, we do, but yeah. So yeah, I still say this. I checked the odds. Milan to win Serie A are 5-1. They are not the favorites to win Serie A. I think it's Inter and
Better odds
Napoli.
than last season, right? That's
Yeah, of course, better odds than last season. But Milan being 5-1, I think when it gets, let me just read you the fixtures that Milan have next. All right, Husni, Inter, Pisa, Torino, Sassuolo, Como, Verona, Cagliari. When you look at that, Milan should well and truly be building a lead here. But knowing what we know and having watched what we saw, it's possible that Italy might be Inter and then go and drop points against all these other teams.
I was just thinking that you're
Because
right.
there's no consistency in their performances and the level. It's very odd. And it wouldn't surprise me if Milan goes and loses to Como, for example. God knows, you know, or even drop points to Sassuolo. They're now starting to get on a bit of a run, Sassuolo. So if I was like in the cold light today looking at the fixture, I'd say Milan will be top of Serie A within 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Within the next 7 fixtures. By the end of the next 7 fixtures, Milan should be top of Serie A. They should be, but will they be? I don't know. In fact, I just realized that if Napoli wins, Inter wins, and Roma wins, Milan drop to 4th. Interesting, huh?
Yeah. One thing that doesn't worry me about this squad is that other than the Juve game, which we could have scored, had the penalty gone in and we collected then 3 points, we don't have a problem scoring goals. So in spite of what we said with regards to Nkuku and also to Jimenez, Pulisic can do it, Salmakers can do it, Liao definitely can do it. So we do have attacking threats, but the job that I thought Allegri would have fixed permanently, but it seems to be okay, maybe still a work in progress, as we've seen quite recently. How then do we build a solid defense? So do we have to wait until January for it to happen? Because if we do, and this could happen, yeah, John, because we haven't lost the game since day one, since the first match day.
Yeah.
So, and let's face it, we can't go through the season 37 games unbeaten. That's definitely not us. Could we lose to Inter, draw several of the games after that? That worries me a big deal, because traditionally or historically we've been, coming off the winter break a bit through a rough patch. But if we go through a rough patch before January, I can't imagine that even top four will be challenged. I just can't imagine us doing well after that.
So let's talk about this, right? Fiorentina have changed coach. Atalanta will change coach. They have to. It's as simple as that. With that squad, it's a crime what they're doing. I think Juventus obviously have changed coach. So let's just say that these teams start to become a bit more serious and they start to become more of a problem. That could be difficult for us. I think all of it comes down to how far does Inter, Napoli, and Roma and Juve progress in the Champions League. If these teams get knocked out, so Inter, I think, are going to be top 8, Husni. Most likely, they're going to be top 8, automatically qualify, avoid those 2 extra games. So let's take Inter out of that. But I think every other Italian club in there has the potential of getting knocked out very early on. Then suddenly they'll come back into the Serie A race because they will have, in essence, the same schedule as us. If that is the case, then Milan do not win Serie A. That's how I see it, Husni. However, if these clubs do somehow make it through the knockout phases and get through, then I think Milan has a more than 50% chance of winning the league title. And as I've said before, don't take this as me being some kind of delusional Milan fan. I'm definitely not. I am not saying this because I want Milan to win the league desperately. You know my opinion on this. Fahadinho, first of all, thank you for joining us. Your question is, where is Shayna's? So I am his sub today. I am. He is like the salad maker, and I am his Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Unfortunately, he got called to work, and a bit of an emergency at work, so he's quite busy. So looking forward to seeing him back. I will not be around a lot more in future pods for a while, guys. Just want to say that Husni is the consistent one. So, I'll keep pushing these
Even that
guys.
haven't been great, but okay.
No, I'll keep pushing these guys to keep pumping out material. I think the fan base needs it. Everybody needs to keep talking about the club. It's important. But no, my work schedule has just become insane, and I can't really do a lot more of these. And I'll be stopping the Italian podcasts as well. Just haven't got the time to do them either. And I've been to Italy. I've had plenty of talking to Italians. I'm fine. I'm all right. I will.
John,
Yeah.
sorry to revisit back the point that you said just now. What's happening with this past few weeks is that it's been quite competitive at the top. So you're right, you mentioned that if other teams win, then we'll be in the 4th place. But we've seen in the past few match days that you've also rightly mentioned that other teams also have their own issues. So what would be interesting, I guess, if you were an outside fan, someone who wanted to see a very competitive league, if we can keep this close competition up until, you could say, 3/4 of the season, that would be quite something, right? Because in the past, other than the past season, but in the season before that, we've had teams that have essentially run away with the league by midpoint. So that would be quite a good promotion for the league
Yeah.
to say that we can keep the story going, so to speak. But for Milan to be in the story, and I guess as a fan, hopefully leading the story, that we can come on at least get the second star. What really hurts me is that we're so close, and all these things that are happening outside of the footballing aspect of the club is really weighing us down. It's an absolutely drag as a fan. But keep the story alive, and if we can keep the league competitive until maybe at least the last third or the last quarter of the way, that would be quite something.
I mean, Hasni, all you have to do is just look at the teams in the league table and have a little bit of a thought. So let's talk about Napoli, for example. Okay, Napoli have one of the strongest squads in Serie A. They're the reigning champions. Højlund has come in, has been a great buy. The moment he got injured, by the way, they really struggled to score goals. And he's just come back from injury and they're not scoring goals. Right now, they're 0-0 with Bologna. Okay. But fair enough, Bologna are in fifth place. They're a dangerous team. They play decent football.
By the
So
way, is
that's
Lukaku out
Napoli.
for much? Sorry, is Lukaku out for much longer?
I think Lukaku had a very serious injury. It was not like an
Okay.
ACL. It was really serious.
Okay.
So that's why they went for Højlund, because they had to have an emergency buy. They would have been done for. Now, so that's Napoli. Their coach is great. The squad overall is pretty strong, but they have Champions League commitments and they're not doing very well at all in the Champions League. I think that distraction is preventing them from putting everything on the pitch in Serie A. Yet, as it stands, they are in first place, 1 point ahead of us. Live points I'm talking about. So that's Napoli. Definitely a top 3 contender. Now, Inter, Husni. If you look at Inter, what would you say their greatest weakness is and their greatest strength?
Oh, the greatest weakness, maybe I would have to say the age of some of their players, but the strength is the prospects.
Yeah.
I won't say anything about the regulars because Lautaro will always be Lautaro. Barella will always be Barella. But it's these on the fringes of prospects becoming great or becoming really good that worries me. But at the same time, they have an outgoing batch. Acerbi,
Yes.
I don't know how he's still in the team. Mkhitaryan, so and they still rely on those players.
Yeah.
But do you think that they? I guess they're probably one of the teams that you would bet on to say that they're safest for top four, right? I mean, as bad as Inter will be. When was the last time they were out of Champions League play? Even I can't remember that. They've always been there.
That's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, so Inter, I'd say their greatest strength is their squad depth and the youth that's coming through. And on the flip side, their biggest weakness is their really aging players and having to rely on them. They keep relying on players like De Vrij, Acerbi, Mkhitaryan, who I think has just picked up quite a serious injury. But the new kids that are coming in, obviously, Pio Esposito is the one that is looking a bit special, I've got to say. Now, and I honestly cannot judge Kivu. I can't judge him at the moment. I think he has yet to be tested seriously. And I want to see what he's going to be like against teams like Atletico, Dortmund, against Milan. I want to see what he does under the pressure, because I've got a feeling that he will be exposed. Every other manager that I think early on in the season we pointed out were not serious hire has now gone pretty much. And Juric, another one, he has to go. I think he's going to be announced in the next few hours. It has to be, unless the club are so desperate to keep money. By the way, Fiorentina didn't get rid of Pioli immediately because of the severance package, right? Because it's like, 10 games in, get rid of someone who's on a multi-year contract. You're going to pay it all off. Does that mean you have him on the books? And the Fiorentina fans are saying he's not even good enough to run our youth squad. That's what
Yeah.
the fans are saying in Italy.
I heard that. So Pioli's still on the books for quite a while, and
I think it
you
was a
gotta
3 year.
credit Pioli's agent. At some point, you gotta look beyond the man itself and say that who's the one who's really wheeling and dealing. His agent is absolutely amazing. His agent is like on the same level as Origi as agent, same level as Bakuyoko's agent. Who else do we have
Yeah.
that's absolute gold?
Yeah.
So the sum of these agents that other players like Mbappe and say that, oh, I got to get this agent, it can like engineer a deal that keeps me paid even though I do absolutely nothing.
Yeah. But I mean, so
So credit
that's,
to these guys.
Fiorentina obviously are bottom of the league. So forget them. Just forget them. So we've spoken about Napoli, Inter. Let's talk about Roma. Roma, really, really serious coaching hire in Gasperini. Really ambitious. They are trying to build a new. I believe they're trying to build a new stadium as well. So they've got a very big stadium project on the way, which is impressive. That's a club that appears to have long-term plan in mind. They've got a problem with their strikers. Their squad still has too many remnants of players that not Gasparini quality. He might end up picking off a lot of the meat from that Atalanta squad if Juric does not get chucked out soon enough and that squad does not turn it around. So Roma are interesting. I think they're overperforming. Personally, that's just my opinion. What do you think on Roma, Husni?
Yeah, I agree. If you had seen in terms of their consistency over the last several years, they shouldn't really be in a top. You could say it's good at the battle at this point. Top four, yeah, maybe they could scrape it in, but they're not really our rivals, if you can say that. And I completely agree with the point that you just said. If the way things are going and Roma still remain competitive, and Atlanta are the way that they are, but maybe flirting with seventh or eighth place even if they've taken a drop. Lookman could to tell the Atlanta management is like, hey, you got to sell me to Roma. There's a coach who wants me there, can get the best out of me. I'm definitely not going to renew with you. You guys got to make a deal. Now I'm leaving for free. That is something that Atlanta, I can't see Atlanta make. Or Atlanta could do a swap deal. It can be a number of things, but
Yeah.
having Gasparini there is an avenue for that team to be much better than they are. And because this is Gasparini's first season with them, you're gonna see it, yeah. The next season, how he molds the team, the sort of
Yeah.
transfers. Because I don't think that he accepted the Roma job just to be, just to keep things that they were in Atlanta. It must have been something to do with being more control, higher targets, being able to keep
Mhm.
players. Those are the sort of things that I'm sure the ownership of Roma would have guaranteed him.
Yeah. So I think the hire of the coach was so serious. I think moving Ranieri after what he did last season, which was miraculous, moving Ranieri upstairs so he's still there. I mean, there's a funny interview out there saying, "Listen, Gasparini doesn't get on with me just as much as he doesn't get on with anyone else, but we get things done for the good of the club." So I think that's continuity, and that's really important for the club. Um, so they're a threat. And if in January they do, as you say, maybe a swap deal between Lookman and Dovbyk or Dovbyk and a bit of money for Lookman, I think Roma become a problem. Now, let's talk about the other big club, Juventus, who've just drawn 0-0 yesterday with Torino in the Turin derby. What's your assessment of their strengths and their weaknesses?
Sorry, it cut off a bit for you. Which team do you mention just now?
Juventus,
Oh, Juventus. Okay.
who drew 0-0 with oh my God, Bologna have just gone ahead against Napoli. You see? Anyway, so Juventus, Husni.
I would never
Strength and
count out
weaknesses.
Juventus. I've been consistent in saying that I would never count them out. Juventus does have the pockets. In January, this is the time that I want to see the moves that Juventus makes. You spoke about the goalkeeper, Gregorio, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, and I guess this could also happen to between Juventus and Fiorentina. But it also could happen to us, right? I mean, they might also come to a pre-contract with Mike. I worry a lot about Juventus and the sort of moves that they can make mid-season, and that would really, push them towards powering into the fourth place. All this points to the fact that, Juventus, Roma, and all that. There's so many threats for us, by the way. Just because we're playing one game a week or not as often as other teams, it doesn't mean that the top four it's a walk in the park. It's so fluid within the season that I wouldn't put us away from not making top four, maybe ended up in 5th place. Yes, this management or this ownership would say it's still an improvement, but that would be as bad as being in 8th place, right? Considering that we don't play that often.
Yeah. I think Juventus, having brought on Spalletti, are now way more dangerous. That's finally a hire that is way more serious than Tudor. Tudor, and there's a famous Juventus YouTuber. His channel G Just Juve or something like that. He's an Italian guy. I don't know his name, Pedro, Paolo, whatever his name is. He follows the team. He goes with the club everywhere and reports. He gets to meet the players in a similar way to what's happened to Milan recently with a particular YouTuber. Now, Spalletti coming in, I think, is dangerous, Husni, because he will start to force things to happen, and he's not as incapable as Tudor was. Tudor was just like a passion hire, it feels to me, and trying to save money again, like another poor hire. I think they could be dangerous. Now, top four, it's possible. It's possible. But if you think about it, now we're talking about Napoli, Inter, Roma, Juventus, and Milan. 5 don't go into 4, Husni. One of them has to drop out.
But what you mentioned about Spalletti, I don't see his full impact until they reinforce in January. I don't think he'd be able to work with miracles with the existing squad. And we've spoken about this. The defense, they have stars there, but I'm really not seeing the
Without Bremer,
big
they're not good
bounce
enough.
that Spalletti will bring. Yeah.
Without Bremer, just not good enough. That goalkeeper, not good enough. We said Di Gregorio is just not good enough. It's just not quite. And then, what would you say, as a last question, is a dark horse potentially for top four? One thing I'd say is this: it's good. All the big names in Italy right now look pretty much like they're going to compete with each other. All the big club names historically look like they're all going to fight each other quite tightly for the title race. It doesn't look like anyone's going to run away. Although, as I said, I think Milan should be running away with it, with the fixture list and what everyone else has got to do, but they don't look like they're capable. So it might be a tight race. Who would you say is a dark horse for getting in there and getting a few nosebleeds, smashing a few people?
But are you saying that whether I was about to say that because I wanted to ask, but do you think would this be a team that would make it the top four?
That
I
might
guess you
make
could,
top four.
because if you look at it historically, the 4th place of the top four, maybe you couldn't even imagine that they were the top 4 contender, by the way. I mean, you could have a really inconsistent team scraping in top 4. That has happened before. Como can probably do it. I know there's a lot of aura, there's a lot of vibes about the team saying that they can punch well above their weight. It would be a fairy tale even for them if they made Champions League, by the way, yeah, considering where they were a few seasons ago. But
have you got a soft spot for Como?
I do, because in spite of everything that's happened, I see their story being a little bit of the 80s Berlusconi era, rich owner, having a right consistent coach, empowering him. A coach identifies, with his experience, great players. They could, but I think Como is on the journey. I'm sure they'll be there. Yeah, if we talk about the European places, them competing, them being the team to really fear if you want to maintain some consistency. But at this point, yeah, if dark horse, yeah, you could probably say them. Bologna,
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Yeah. So as an update, Fiorentina have gone ahead against Genoa. The Pioli effect. Get rid of him. They start to win. That's really good. So Fiorentina are 2-1 up at the moment. Let me just see who's done it. Who scored in that match? I'm really curious who scored for Fiorentina right now. I'm bringing it up right now. Hang on. Fiorentina. Oh, Piccoli scored. Oh, excellent. Oh, Genoa missed a penalty 7 minutes ago. Oh my God, which would have made them go 2-1 up. Wow, they are fighting for their lives right now. Oh, there's no Keane on the squad. Interesting. He must be injured. Oh no.
Where's
Yeah,
the
he's not.
other?
Moise
the-
Keane is injured again. Oh, dude. Unfortunate. Napoli still losing 1-0 to Bologna.
What's interesting is that after the break, Fiorentina have Juventus. Well, they got quite a schedule. Look at this. Juventus, then they got the European Athens, then Atlanta, Sassuolo.
No.
So it's going to be tough for them until end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching the Fiorentina fans when I was in Italy, and they are going through some rough times. Those guys are really worried about relegation. I think they should come out of it, but it might be worse before it gets better, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So okay, I think we've covered all the main topics. I think. I don't know if there's anything. Is there anything else that you think we've missed, Husni, or maybe someone in the chat? I don't think we
I
have.
think it's good that we caught up before the start of the international break. And to everyone watching or listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, I apologize on behalf of the entire Milanistas 360 crew that we've been doing a Fofana with regards to our consistency, but we're back, yeah. And I think after the international break, we'll probably see how it goes for the team. But don't worry, we're still here. We're still here. And just to plug our WhatsApp group channel, if you do want to join, do drop us a DM, Instagram, on X. So Mr. Shanus, who's not with us here today, he's really checking the X page to see how things are going. So you can drop a DM or you can comment, and we'll add you into the group. Great bunch of guys. Anything AC Milan and everything else, I guess, that you want to talk about, we're all for that. So no restrictions, completely free, no charges, nothing. Just like how we like to keep it here.
Yeah. So, I mean, thank you everyone for joining in today. We had a good conversation. It was good catching up with you, Husni. I guess every now and then, if I may, I might join you guys for a pod every now and then when I find the time. And Rafik says Fofana is Stupinian out. Yes, absolutely. What's this? Greta
Okay,
Thunberg? Is that the Swedish guy?
Oh,
Oh, great. I think you're saying Greta Thunberg. Great
well, if
Milan
she's
talk.
coming to try to take on the management, we will welcome her as well.
Well, all the best, everyone, and speak soon. Forza Milanismo. Ciao a
Yeah,
tutti.
Forza Milan, everyone. See you.
Che comunque il calcio è imprevedibile e le cose non sono mai scontate, quindi è anche la bellezza, no, di questo sport.
Io rappresentavo per questa squadra, era quello che non mollava mai, quello che doveva fare stare sempre su il morale, ma io mi ci trovavo bene perché sono sempre stato uno che mi piaceva